once again, my good people, this is another book review by me, Nick Appel, and it's, as always, coming from my room. Now, this week's book is Fyodor Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. It is another one of my favorites. I read this one on my own. It's translated by, once again, Richard Pavier and Larissa Volokhonsky. This edition, 551 pages. With the epilogue. So it's long. It's not as long as Brothers Karamazov, but it's good. First up is characters. First character is its main character, Raskolnikov. This guy is the main character, as I said, in the whole novel. He's the one who the book follows through, like 95% of the book. I'll get to why he's such an important character in the plot sequence. And then you have Pulcheria, who is Raskolnikov's mother. She cares very much about her son, and when she moves to be closer to Raskolnikov, you can see how much she cares about him and his sister Avdaya. I'm probably butchering all these. Do not kill me for it, because that would suck. And I don't know fluent Russian, so I'm not gonna be able to say it right. But yeah, you have a sister Avdaya, who has not as big a role as Raskolnikov, but it's also a decent role, decently sized role. She's in the book enough to make her presence significant. She is engaged to a man named Lucin, who is basically a dick. He puts on an act for Avdaya to get her to be engaged to him. But then when Raskolnikov meets him, he sees the guy for how he truly is and attempts to make Avdaya see that, and it's cool. It's really cool. Lucin is actually a very interesting character. He has a somewhat significant role up until about midway through the novel. And then you have Raskolnikov's basically best friend in this whole book, Razumikin. This guy is basically with Raskolnikov for the majority of the novel, in one way or another. He looks after him when Raskolnikov falls into his sicknesses, and eventually he figures out what it is that Raskolnikov has done, which I'll get to in the plot. And he's also in love with Avdaya, which is really kind of funny throughout the whole novel, seeing their relationship evolve and the stuff that just goes on. You also have Sonia, who is Raskolnikov's main love interest in this whole novel. It's kind of a back and forth love interest with them, if I remember right. It's also an interesting one. But I'm not going to reveal too much about her, but it's interesting, and it's something to look forward to. And then you also have Porfiry. Porfiry is basically the detective of this book. He is basically investigating the murders of the two women who Raskolnikov killed and trying to figure out who committed the act. And eventually he suspects Raskolnikov, but he doesn't have any hard evidence to use against him. When he has a conversation with Raskolnikov, he attempts to manipulate him into revealing that he is the killer in one way, shape, or form. Those conversations, those are probably the most suspenseful conversations that are in the book, because you don't know if he's going to crack, or if Raskolnikov is going to crack under the pressure, or if he's going to stay cool, or what's going to happen, because it's just cool. This is really cool. And so yeah, that's Porfiry. He's one of the coolest characters in this book, besides Raskolnikov. Alright, so on to the plot. The book is split into 4 parts. It's not the same format as Brothers Karamazov. Brothers Karamazov is the only book that really does it the way that book does it. All of Dostoevsky's other novels are either split into chapters, if they're short, like Notes from Underground, or I believe The Devil and the Gambler are as well. Crime and Punishment is split into 4 parts. With each chapter being around 15 pages or so. Because book 1, it starts out with Raskolnikov. Dostoevsky introduces Raskolnikov to us, as well as the other main characters, through Raskolnikov's eyes. This might be a little spoiler, I don't know, but this is basically just what my AP teacher told me when he was telling me about the book. The main thing that the book revolves around is that Raskolnikov murders 2 women. I won't say who, and I won't say how, but it's gruesome. It's really gruesome, and he's smart about it too. That's the other interesting thing. But then after he commits these murders, the book basically deals with how he himself deals with the murder of someone who didn't really do him any physical harm. She kind of cheated him out of something, but besides that, it wasn't really a necessary kill. Yeah, that's the plot. I'm not gonna go into it because it basically just evolves from what I just told you. And yeah, so on to themes. Alright, first theme is right versus wrong. This is probably the strongest theme, and it's the one that resonates throughout the novel the most. You got Raskolnikov, who has obviously done wrong, and then you got Porfiry, who is in the right. But their views are kind of switched because you see the story through the eyes of the killer, and so you see his motives and you see what he's dealing with, and then since you're seeing the story through Raskolnikov's eyes, you see Porfiry as the bad guy, because obviously for a criminal, the police are going to be the bad guys to you, because they're the ones trying to hunt you down and find you and ultimately stop you in one way or another, whatever it takes. But yeah, that's one thing that resonates throughout the whole novel, and something that that Raskolnikov deals with himself personally. You also have love and hate. This deals mainly with the love interests that were mentioned in the character section, so refer to that if you don't remember. But the love and hate thing goes back and forth between the 4 characters that I mentioned. I think it's 4. Yeah, 4 or 5 characters, I think. And then there's truth, and then there's justice. Truth, basically, so Porfiry trying to figure out who killed the women and figure out the truth and deliver the correct justice. Yeah, those 2 things basically relate to Porfiry mainly, because he's the detective. He's trying to solve this crime, and he's doing all he can to solve it. On to enjoyment. Now, this is the first Dostoevsky novel that I read on my own. My teacher helped me out a little bit if I had questions or if I wanted to talk about some stuff that dealt with the novel, but otherwise it was all me all the way through for the 2 months that it took me to finish it. The story is pretty fast paced. I don't think there are too many times where I was bored, as far as I remember, because I got through the book really quickly for it being a Dostoevsky novel. So the chapters are kind of long, 15 pages or so each, more or less. Despite the length, the chapters go quite quickly. They don't really have a lot of stopping point, which is nice. It's very fast paced. And so, like I said, get the Richard Pavier and Larissa Volkonsky edition or translation. You will get the most out of the story. I actually have a friend who first read this edition, and then about a year later went back and read an edition by a different translator, and he told me that you could so easily tell the difference in the quality of the story. There's spelling mistakes, or English mistakes, and just translation errors that there shouldn't be in a translation. Yeah, get the Larissa Volkonsky and Richard Pavier translation if you're gonna read this. And so I recommend this book if you like Dostoevsky novels, Russian books, or just good classic literature. And so, yeah, I do believe that's it. If I release this as I think I will, the next book to be released will be The Idiot, by Dostoevsky, and then the Game of Thrones series, and then the Song of Ice and Fire series will be next. Assuming that I have them all done. If I don't hate me, because I have college, and that's probably going to be somewhat difficult and time consuming. So yeah. But yeah, until then, my name is still Nick Pell. I'm probably in college right now, but at this time, this is coming from my room, and keep on reading. Be a simple